Hello and welcome back to Culz Book Reviews. Today we're checking out Acrocanthosaurus Inside and Out by Kenneth Carpenter. Now, Dr. Carpenter has actually featured in one of our Fossil Frenzy episodes as far as we talked about his involvement with the Triceratops skull up at the University of Colorado Boulder, which was since moved. It is definitely unusual for us to do two book reviews in a week. We previously just did the James Dean one on Monday. But I wanted to do some stuff on Acrocanthosaurus, and what better book to read than this one describing Fran. Now here you can actually see the title Acrocanthosaurus Inside and Out, and that beautiful picture of Fran's skull. Very, very neat. Obviously, Fran's skull, super complete for Acrocanthosaurus, and really helps shed light on some of the later Carcharodontosaurids. And then obviously we got Kenneth Carpenter down here. On the side, it says Carpenter, Acrocanthosaurus Inside and Out, and Oklahoma. On the back, obviously we find Philip J. Curry, which is another pretty famous paleontologist who helped with the paper on Fran. And here it gives a brief description about the book. Talks a little bit about Kenneth Carpenter. Obviously we see University of Oklahoma Press, and there's that ISBN if you need that. As far as actual text, there's 122 pages, though there is more pages dedicated to different references and papers that helped Dr. Carpenter with this book. As you can see, lots of text, but also lots of cool, pictures and diagrams, just showcasing whatever they're talking about, be it Acrocanthosaurus, the fossils, Fran, some of the muscles, as you can see there, prey items, location, environment, why they're doing certain... Yeah, there's the eyes, which always look kind of funny, especially look at that human without, all this soft tissue around it. But yeah, as you can see, lots of awesome detail, helps really break it down, especially if you don't know a lot of the terminology. I think this isn't going to be too hard of a book for you. I think it's actually a really well done book, and it really helps bring to light a dinosaur which really doesn't get a lot of publicity. Which is strange because a lot of time big predators get a lot of publicity, and Acrocanthosaurus was about 39 feet long. So I think you can kind of already tell I really enjoyed this book. Acrocanthosaurus is actually one of my favorite dinosaurs, and that's why we're doing this little Acrocanthosaurus day in this Wednesday of November randomly. But it is really cool that somebody actually sat down, took the time to make a book kind of showcasing this really cool, really large, and lesser known theropod. I think in more recent times, especially with its inclusion in Jurassic World Evolution, as well as Operation Genesis, Acrocanthosaurus is starting to get a little bit more publicity. For me though, Acrocanthosaurus was the first big theropod I had ever seen outside of Tyrannosaurus or Allosaurus. Obviously we have those ones both at the Denver Museum, but there was a traveling exhibition with some fossils, some animatronics, and there was two skeletons of Acrocanthosaurus, obviously based on Fran, on display. Even to this day, they were just so massive, and to me that was always so fascinating. And I remember early on, Acrocanthosaurus was kind of like this weird dinosaur where, was it like a late surviving Allosaurus, but now obviously with more research we know more towards the line of the Carcharodontosaurids. You can obviously see that skull shape, especially with the recent discovery of Meraxes. That skull shape looks really pretty familiar, so if you guys kept up with that video, you should recognize that skull shape a bit. But let's get a little bit more into the book. Obviously this was started, as Carpenter said, more as a PowerPoint presentation or just a presentation on Acrocanthosaurus. And again, I'm really glad he sat down and wrote this book out, because it's fascinating. If you look at just, the descriptions of the bones, the history of the discovery, kind of piecing together its environment. We have gone to Glen Rose, where Dinosaur Valley State Park is, and the theropod footprints, suspected Acrocanthosaurus, which we'll throw a picture up here, as well as, Dinosaur Ridge talks about perhaps their theropod tracks may have been a small Acrocanthosaurus. But then to kind of highlight the differences between Allosaurids and Tyrannosaurids, or, you know, talk about like Sauroposeidon or Gigantoraptor. You know, there's a lot of lesser used dinosaurs that are given light. Obviously, Sauroposeidon shared its environment with Acrocanthosaurus. Gigantoraptor, on the other hand, was just used to kind of show the ways eggs may have been laid, since there is a pretty well preserved specimen of a nest of Gigantoraptor. It's also neat to show how, like, the different specimens, what they found, and then that's, you know, how we came up with the full specimen that's displayed here. Obviously, that one's in Oklahoma, this one's North Carolina. Like, this is like the exact pose I remember the one in the exhibition looking like. But it is cool just to see how they've been able to kind of piece Acrocanthosaurus together with 5 different individuals. And luckily, they're pretty well preserved in dinosaur terms, especially like Fran, and even some of the other ones. If you look at them, like right here, or even that one, there's actually a decent amount of evidence preserved, which really helps us out. It also shows, you know, where Acrocanthosaurus has been found. The little footprint obviously shows Glen Rose. This picture also is really cool because it shows how well Acrocanthosaurus fits in with the, you know, other allosaurs, as you might call them, with Allosaurus, Carcharodontosaurus, and Giganotosaurus, and just how different the skull of Tyrannosaurus really is. Speaking of Giganotosaurus, yes, it is pronounced Giganotosaurus. Obviously, we said that in our Beyond T-Rex review. We actually had how to pronounce it in that video from Mr. Korea himself, but here, obviously, we see Giganotosaurus, not Giga, as Jurassic World has said. So overall, I really enjoyed this book. Like I said, Acrocanthosaurus has always been one of my favorites. As you can see, I have that PNSO model of Acrocanthosaurus, and it's just so fascinating to me. I really recommend this book, especially if you want to learn more about Acrocanthosaurus. This is probably by far the easiest way to get easy access to a lot of great information. That's really still pretty up to date. It is a more recent book. I picked this one up at Dinosaur Ridge, though you can get this on like Amazon and stuff like that. Overall, I don't think it's going to be too hard of a read if you don't know a lot of the terminology. I think it's really written a lot different than a lot of like more scientific books, where I think you can easily pick this up if you don't have a lot of knowledge on the subject or paleontology or scientific terms. I think this is going to be an easier read for a lot of people, and I think that's a great thing because it really helps pass along that knowledge to a lot of people. Overall, can't rate it anything but a 10 out of 10. Like I said, one of my favorite books, very knowledgeable. I don't want to ruin it. Go read it, guys. It's super good. And I just can't say enough about it. So Acrocanthosaurus Inside Out, definitely highly recommend, and stay tuned. We have another Acrocanthosaurus video coming up shortly. But if you want to see more Culz book reviews, click that link to your left. If you want to see more about what we're doing here at Culz Paranormal, click that link to your right. And don't forget to hit that like and give us a subscribe. And let us know, have you ever seen any of the Acrocanthosaurus fossils? And what is your favorite dinosaur?